Assalamu alaikum everyone. Today we have to discuss approaches to language testing. Actually, a brief history of language testing over the past half century will serve as a backdrop to an understanding of classroom-based testing. Historically, language testing trends and practices have followed the shifting trends of teaching methodology. For example, in the 1950s, that was an era of behaviorism, and special attention was given to contrastive analysis. In this era, testing focused on specific language elements such as the phonological, grammatical, and lexical contrasts between two languages. While in the 1970s and 1980s, communicative theories of language brought with them a more integrative view of testing, in which specialists like Clark claimed that the whole of the communicative event was considerably greater than the sum of its linguistic elements. And today, test designers are still challenged in their quest for more authentic, valid instruments that simulate real-world interaction. Two major approaches to language testing were debated in the 1970s and early 1980s. These approaches still prevail today, even if in mutated form, the choice between discrete point and integrative testing methods. Discrete point tests are constructed on the assumption that language can be broken down into its component parts and that those parts can be tested successfully. These components are the skills of listening, speaking, reading and writing, and various units of language of phonology, graphology, morphology, lexicon, syntax and discourse. It was claimed by the researchers that an overall language proficiency test then should sample all four skills and as many linguistic discrete points as possible. In contrast to discrete point testing, another approach was presented by Oller 1979, that was integrative testing. Oller argued that language competence is a unified set of interacting abilities that cannot be tested separately. His claim was that communicative competence is so global and requires such integration that it cannot be captured in additive tests of grammar, reading, vocabulary, and other discrete points of language. Other researchers like Zico and Svignen also supported integrative testing. Two types of tests have historically been claimed to be examples of integrative tests, that are cloze tests and dictations. A cloze test is a reading passage, perhaps 150 to 300 words, in which roughly every sixth or seventh word has been deleted. The test taker is required to supply words that fit into those blanks. Oller claimed that cloze test results are good measures of overall proficiency. According to theoretical constructs underlying this claim, the ability to supply appropriate words in blanks requires a number of abilities that lie at the heart of competence in a language, like knowledge of vocabulary, grammatical structure, discourse structure, reading skills and strategies, and an internalized expectancy grammar. It was argued that successful completion of cloze items taps into all those abilities which were said to be the essence of global language proficiency. Dictation is also a familiar language teaching technique. Essentially, learners listen to a passage of 100 to 150 words read aloud by an audio tape or an administrator and write what they hear using correct spellings. The listening portion usually has three stages: an oral reading without pauses, an oral reading with long pauses between every phrase, and a third reading at normal speed to give test takers a chance to check what they wrote. Supporters of integrative testing argue that dictation is an integrative test because it taps into grammatical and discourse competencies required for other modes of performance in a language. The supporters of integrative test methods soon centered their arguments on unitary trait hypothesis. Unitary trait hypothesis suggested an indivisible view of language proficiency, that vocabulary, grammar, phonology, the four skills and other discrete points of language could not be disentangled from each other in language performance. The unitary trait hypothesis contended that there is a general factor of language proficiency such that all the discrete points do not add up to that whole. Other researchers argued strongly against the unitary trait hypothesis, and finally, in the face of the evidence, Euler retreated from his earlier stand and admitted that the unitary trait hypothesis was wrong. By the mid-1980s, the language testing field had abandoned arguments about the unitary trait hypothesis and had begun to focus on designing communicative language testing tasks. Buchman and Palmer 1996 include among fundamental principles of language testing the need for a correspondence between language test performance and language use. They argued that in order for a particular language test to be useful for its intended purposes, test performance must correspond in demonstrable ways to language use in non-test situations. According to the researchers, integrative tests such as cloze tests only tell us about a candidate's linguistic competence. They do not tell us anything directly about a student's performance ability. Communicative testing presented challenges to test designers because the test constructors began to identify the kinds of real-world tasks that language learners were called upon to perform. Following Cannell and Swain's model of communicative competence, Buchman proposed a model of language competence consisting of organizational and pragmatic competence, respectively subdivided into grammatical and textual components, and into illocutionary and sociolinguistic competence. Buchman and Palmer 1996 also emphasized the importance of strategic competence. Test designers are now tackling this new and more student-centered approach around the world, that is performance-based assessment. Instead of just offering paper and pencil selective response tests of a plethora of separate items, performance-based assessment of language typically involves oral production, written production, open-ended responses, integrated performance, group performance, and other interactive tasks. It is true that such assessment is time-consuming and therefore expensive. But these extra efforts are paying off in the form of more direct testing because students are assessed as they perform actual or simulated real-world tasks. And in technical terms, higher content validity is achieved because learners are measured in the process of performing the targeted linguistic acts. This picture displays the different characteristics of performance-based assessment. A characteristic of many performance-based language assessments is the presence of interactive tasks. In such cases, the assessment involves learners in actually performing the behavior that we want to measure. In interactive tasks, test takers are measured in the act of speaking, requesting, responding, or in combining listening and speaking, and in integrating reading and writing.